bring up two people to help share what they've seen. Igor and Elena Yasno. They were born and raised in Kiev, the capital. They immigrated to the United States in the late 70s, and they got out like a lot of our people. They married and raised two sons here in America. They founded a software company in the 80s, and they've paid very close attention to what's happened in Ukraine in these last days. They went back in May of this year and spent a month in country working with volunteers who had to take cover in bomb shelters. And they're here today as another surprise. Igor and Elena, if you'd come up.
Good morning. Shana Tova, and happy 5784 to everyone. We have a lot of hopes for the new year, and one of the biggest ones is our hope for victory. And we can talk about it later if you wish. But first and foremost, I'd like to thank Rabbi Mark for including us in the service, and this is going to be a tough act to follow with the TBA, the milkman, and the memory lane trip with the rabbi. Those were the times, weren't they? We are Elena and Igor Yasno. Our original name was Yasnogorodsky. Why? Because we come from a shtetl called Yasnogorodka, not far from the shtetl where Tevye was from, and Shalom Aleichem. We were born in Kyiv, Ukraine, not far from the house where Golda Meir was born. There are lots and lots of Jewish leaders and famous men, including Sikorsky, the inventor of the helicopter, who was born in Kiev as well. So we come from a long line of Ukrainian Jews, and we're proud to call ourselves Ukrainian Jews, even though it is a long and complicated history, as you just heard from the rabbi. Yes, we just came back from Ukraine. We've been working with the local volunteers. We took money, we took medicine, we took some other supplies, and we spent about a month in Ukraine. During the day, we were working with the volunteers, visiting different remote villages, helping people, delivering humanitarian aid, and at night we were running for the bomb shelters. This is no joke. We were bombarded with everything. The Iranian kamikaze drones, ballistic missiles, and everything in between. Luckily, next to our apartment building where we rented a place, there was a metro station, and we would go there and sit there from 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning until the all clear signal was given. And we were surrounded by people with children and dogs and cats and everything they took with them because it was just dangerous to be at home. So this was the most difficult and inspiring trip for us, and we will tell you a little bit more about it later. But so we have lots and lots of stories to tell, but don't worry, we're not going to tell you all those stories today, right now. There's just not enough time to do all that. We're working on a documentary film which is in the pre-release stage right now that will explain some of these things that happened to us. But as Soviet Jews or ex-Soviet Jews, we are very much interested in the Jewish life and in Jewish history of Ukraine. So during our trip, we were making a point of meeting with the Jews that never left the country. And the rabbi is absolutely correct. About 2 million Soviet Jews did leave, and here we are today. But about 250,000 didn't. And they still live there. And we wanted to meet with them and figure out what is it like for a Jew to live in Ukraine right now, as we speak. And it is also a very interesting story. One of the most important meetings was with a rabbi called David, and he's a military chaplain in the Ukrainian Defense Force. One among 60 chaplains. It's a brand new branch of the armed forces right now. And he's serving about 1 million men that require help, because these men very often gravely wounded. He needs to give them the last rites. He needs to accompany their bodies back to the family and bury them. And I asked him one question: David, what is it like for a Jewish rabbi to give last rites to an Orthodox Christian or to a Muslim soldier? And he looked at me very sadly, and he said, Igor, at that time, it really doesn't matter. This was the most profound, interesting, and uplifting interview we've ever conducted. And I'm forever thankful to Rabbi David for that meeting. He gave me his patch, a shoulder patch. Everybody, I forgot to bring it with me today. It's a patch that is worn by a special unit in the Ukrainian army, manned primarily by the Israelis. About 16 Israeli soldiers were killed in action in Israel during this war. I'm sorry, in Ukraine during this war. And he took this patch and gave it to me. And this is one of the most valuable things that I brought back from Ukraine. Perhaps one of these days, if we come back, or when we come back, I'd like to show it to you and share it with you. Very, very interesting thing. Last but not least, thank you for mentioning Babi Yar. Elena and I have lost great-grandparents there. We know what happened on September 29, 1941. We know who was responsible. We know a lot of things about it. And nevertheless, we find it in ourselves not only to know history, but worry about the present and the future. Having spoken to these Ukrainian Jews, I am very, very optimistic about their future in Ukraine and the future of their country. And one more thing. As we speak, about 40,000 Orthodox Jews have traveled to Ukraine today because they are visiting the holy grave of Rabbi Nachman in Uman, which is a tiny place between Kiev and Odessa, and it goes back to the 16th, 17th century, the story of that place, and also a fascinating story. So with that, I would like you to keep in mind that Ukraine has always played a very important and often tragic role in Jewish history. No denying that. It is complicated, as I like to tell the people who listen to me. It is complicated. We are tourist guides, by the way, but we don't work for the KGB, I have to tell you. And when people ask me to explain what happened, I would love to. It just takes a long time. Thank you.
And again, thank you very much. I'm extremely emotional right now. Sitting through the service, it really affected me. I am proud of saying I am Jewish. Although I grew up hiding it, I did not want to admit that I was Jewish. It was always something that I was trying not to recognize. And to be here and to be a part of this community was extremely emotional. But I want to explain how extremely wonderful it is to be here to address you about where we come from. what we bring with ourselves. How, when we left the Soviet Union, we did not want to even think about going back. But then when the Soviet Union fell apart, we started going back, and we noticed what a huge difference this country is. And the more we go, the more we see how much they accomplish, how much better they become, what a difference it is. Nobody knows who's who anymore. It's not written in your passport that you're Jewish. It doesn't exist anymore. People don't know who is who. And that's important because everybody is basically the same. It's equal. And you are not prosecuted if you want to practice religion. And when we came back from Ukraine, we were so overwhelmed with everything we saw and felt, all the emotions, all the experiences. I cried my eyes out the whole month and after. We wanted to do something. We didn't know exactly how to approach this. And having the opportunity to speak to people, to see you, to tell you our story of what we have been through, what we saw, how we feel about Ukraine right now, how proud we are of being Jewish Ukrainian, Ukrainian Jewish American, American Jewish Ukrainian. We are who we are, and that's why we want to ask for your help. Help us help Ukraine, because as we speak, every single day, the Russians are destroying this country. They are bombarding. Every single day, there are people dying. Every single day, there are children maimed. They blow themselves up on those minefields. It is absolutely heartbreaking. And I still get my messages every time there is an air raid alert, and my heart breaks. So we want to speak to as many people as we can. We want to deliver this message. Please help us help Ukraine. Do whatever it is you can do for us to organize speeches, to let us show the movie. We would love to screen our film. We have so many stories. And you know what? I was proud that the president of the Ukraine was congratulating on the main television channels with Rosh Hashanah, with 20 other rabbis from Ukraine. This has never happened before. And I'm so proud of him. So thank you for letting us say our words, and I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to do one more thing and to present Rabbi Mark with this gift from Ukraine.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And so the information about their organization, which is called Ukraine, with Y-O-U, Ukraine Now, the information is out there. We are going to have a screening of the movie. Our friend Craig, our mutual friend Craig, is putting the final touches on it, I know, and it'll be ready soon. And so it does fall on our community and our country to continue to stand with Ukraine. Again, it's ironic that the grandchildren and great-grandchildren of the people who fled are now going back to help protect it.